Okay, so listen, I am doing this video recording on December 24th, the day it's actually going to come out. So things are a little rushed, to put it mildly. I've been busy most of this week correcting the mistakes of the 1970s in my new house, so things have been a little focused on that rather than on the tiny mans. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It might be a little bit less professional than you're used to. Well, the day is finally here, the one we've all been waiting for, December 24th. I now get to finally eat this giant chocolate teddy bear. But I think you guys are probably more excited about what's behind this box, which in fact is the new expansion for BPRE 28mm Phaseline. It took about a month to arrive from the US, got sat in customs for a bit, but we now have a copy in my hand in the lovely, lovely retail box that shows off the artwork for which BPRE is kind of famous for. I do like the design on the sides, which I'm not quite sure why I showed all three sides, because it's the same one across all of them, but it's got the Shirter machine gun team and the new Recce Raider for Cold Harbor, sort of giving you a nice bit of intro into what might be in the box. Speaking of which, we have the back. So we've got colour images on the back showing off the different forces which are included, both the Shirter and the Cold Harbor guys, and also the Hongbin lot. We also have the terrain enhancement components, which we'll cover later on, and of course the tiles as well. One thing to notice is, much like everything that Echelon makes, it's got a big Made in the USA mark underneath. Their principles it's a company that sticks to the principles, which I can kind of agree with, even if it does mean that you are paying for a premium product that comes out of it, which for some people may be a turn off, but we'll see. Now, I could spend my time pulling all these components out, showing you random plastic bags, and then talking about it, or through the magic of editing, I can do that. Here we have the inside. You can see lovely mix of components, very similar to what you got in the original box. The only thing really missing is like not any of the new tokens. It's just really what's required for the new game mode. So let's begin with the book. Much like the original book, this is a very similar style to what you'd get if you bought on the Amazon Print on Demand from elsewhere. Once again, Conflict Bible covering information of a new time. We're getting some. Look, I'm not going to say this is post-apocalyptic, but there's some real nasty stuff that takes place in this background section. Don't have a gunfight around a chemical processing plant. Bad things are going to happen, which you'll see some examples of later on. The expanded rules, the main star of the show is the brand new game mode Phaseline. This adds a 500-point version, which gives you more figures, but also, as you progress down the board, interesting things start to happen. We'll cover them later on. The new mechanics used in kind of every game mode. You've got the multi-story structures, you've got the brand new weapons, which are fun to play around with. A battle spaces section, which covers only for Phaseline at the moment. It would be nice to have seen some for the new tiles for Night Raid, but we'll have to make do for now. One thing that is we've in Night Raid is the new Warfighter units. We've got the ones for Cold Harbor, we've got the Sapper for Muttersid, but we've also then got a grenade launcher, and, well, the one my opponent's looking most forward to is the Shirter machine gun team, which I'm not looking forward to in all shape or form. We've also got brand new cards and tokens. So you've got the Fires cards, which are a key part of Phaseline, new intervention cards to give you more options, and then the Battle Space Aspheric cards, which we'll look at in a little bit. Finally, much like a JW Codex of old, we have the Miniatures at War section showing off the lovely painted models on a lovely 3D board the guys at Echelon have. So overall, a really nicely presented way of showing off the new rules, so definitely getting excited over that. We then have the new tiles, the big pieces that come in the box. This building is absolutely massive and will be ideal for the sort of close quarters combat. I'm actually looking forward to using this for other things outside of BPRE as well. But what's more exciting is this. That building has a staircase. Yes, we've finally reached the era where BPRE 28mm can do multiple level structures. You can see here's the upper floor. The black rim shows it's a top level as opposed to the ground. Sitting above with the staircase, and you'll get to fight up and down those, which I'm sure will be great fun. Very concerned about how many windows that structure has when it comes to defending it. We do also have a second structure, which is number 7, which is here. And this is actually slightly different because the upper levels are only part of it, which I think is a real neat sort of asymmetry, just to show off the different ways they can do it. I really like these tiles. They are definitely kind of one of the more expensive parts of the box, you can sort of tell. But I do have a feeling when I put these away, I'm not going to come back and find them cracked or scraped the surface or anything like that. The upper level did have a sticker to fix something, but it's fine. Speaking of which, let's look at how it looks in game. So you may notice there's some resin parts around this building. Those are the terrain enhancement components, the doorways and the corners. You basically set them up to give the floor above some support using the different areas. You can sort of see the L shapes and then the doors themselves. The doors, you've got a nice mixture of styles to the doors, which I quite liked. There's some cleanup to do on them, which is, I mean, expected from this sort of thing. But nothing more than a simple plier job will do in a couple of minutes. I do like how some of these, like, there's different style of security on each of the doors. Like, some have got padlocks, some are full-on semi-wooden armoured sort of thing. All of them just asking for someone to breach and clear and kick through them. The corner pieces are kind of generic, but I think it makes sense because you want to be able to be used for both interior and exterior sides, because obviously, depending on the arrangement, they could be both for facing outwards to be shot at or facing inwards to be covered with the when someone kicks the door in. There are a few concerning points. Some of these, like this corner, for example, is very close to that door or that window, which is a little oversized, so I guess you'd probably try and avoid using... Probably just use a door for that section rather than anything extra, which is... It's alright. I think I'd rather have the layout be accurate than necessarily have the generic corner pieces be 100%. So now we have the cards, which is one of my favourite parts of these boxes. I really love just having cards in games in general. First of all, we've got the unit cards. So we've got the 4 for the RE Guard / Hongbin. And then we've got the 3 for Cold Harbour, which will give you all the unit stats you want close to hand and ready to go. You then got the Battle Space cards, which are the only used in Phaseline. You then got the Atmospheric card, which is kind of horrifying, giving you the... Well, it's bad times for everyone involved. Interventions, giving you some brand new options for creating your deck, 2 of each, so you can use them for both sides. And we have the Fires cards, which are, as you can see, kind of horrifying. You're going to be dropping these on bad guys in Phaseline, and they are very destructive. So, if you take a look at the cards themselves, it's the exact same lovely materials before, really nicely printed. They're going to be really hard wearing, but probably last longer than the rest of many other games, which is quite nice. So, what I'm quickly pointing at is you can use the Atmospherics and Intervention cards in every game mode along the units. You can only use the Fires and the Battle Space in Phaseline. So just something to be aware of, but I think there's plenty here to be used for Night Raid as well. Here are the figures. So I would normally open these up and show you all the lovely models inside, but because I am not anywhere near to my tools, I've put them away as part of my move. I'm going to bring up some lovely painted models and put them here. These are pulled from the website just to show off what the models look like. You get 24 figures in total, 10 for Cold Harbour, which gives you an advisor, and then a heavy machine gunner, and then 2 sets of the Grenadier and Recce Raiders. And then the Hongbin get a new Shirter figure, machine gun team, a new advisor, and some of the new figures as well. So it's kind of like a quite reasonable setup to add to what you've already got. It does mean, I think you can now run the Shirter Horde mechanic, which I know that my compatriot I usually play against is very excited about. These models are from Sinocast resin rather than spun resin. We had some issues with them. I'm expecting some sapper bodies soon, so I'm intrigued to see what they're like once I actually get around to pulling them open and assembling them, which should be good fun. So, to finish off, what do I think of Phaseline having opened it up? Well, I can't say much about the game because I haven't played it yet. I can't say much about the figures because I haven't opened it up, but I will say this feels the same quality as the original box. There's been no dip. There's no like, oh, well, fuck it, just stick it in and ship it out, which I'd be kind of concerned about. I appreciate it's a lot of money, especially once you start adding these boxes together, but I think the quality speaks for itself from all I've looked at. And in terms of how many hours of gameplay you can get from this, I'd like a lot of like other modern systems, some of which I need to take a look at, but there's a lot of potential for very quick play, sort of getting people together and jumping in and playing this sort of on a weekly basis rather than necessarily like a big game event. I do quite like how if you don't want to spend the money on this, you can actually pick up proxies and all the templates for free and the rules themselves from the Patreon for Black Powder Red Earth by simply joining up for about $5 I think it is, which is pretty good option to start off. I know a lot of people got plenty of models to proxy with. If you then want to take it further and get the exact templates, then it's great. I would love them to do 3D printed buildings, of the ability to get that out there to people. But I mean, we might see that down the line depending on how these games go. But yeah, so that's Phaseline. I'll be back later on once I actually have a house to really show off what's on the inside and get the models painted up and assembled, and then maybe even get some games in the new year. And with that, I think we've reached the end of 2022. I don't foresee myself doing any more blog posts or any more videos after this. Though never say never. I did write up that big chunk of complaints about the state of the industry as it comes to at the end of 2022. So maybe I'll convert that to video and have a bit more of a long form chat about it. But hey ho. To say first of all, thank you to all my Patreon supporters. This product is one of the things that I probably wouldn't have got if it wasn't the fact I had Patreon helping out every month. I realize I'm not the best Patreon creator in terms of monthly content, but I do appreciate everyone sticking around and watching on as I carry on from my journey. Next year, I hope to kind of bring up this stuff to a slightly more professional level. I'm really looking forward to being what I can do in the new place with more space, and also maybe get a few toys in there. We've got a big chunk of stuff to play around with, so see you all in 2023.